Just like every superhero has an origin story, so does every idea have its own origin. For me, the idea for my feature film was this series of events that led to this idea that was just too good to pass up. About 7 years ago, I was living in this house with a bunch of roommates, and one of the things I loved to do was I would take pictures with a 35mm film camera. Now, at the time, one of my friends, she came over and she had to get new glasses, and so she had gotten a box from Warby Parker, and they send you about 4 different pairs you pick out online, and they send you a box of the 4 that you picked out so you could try them on. Well, I was super excited about this idea of a box of glasses. So I was like, you got to come over. I want to see what I want to see what this is like. So she came over. She brought the box of glasses, and she tried them on, and I gave her feedback. I was like, oh, that one, not that one. I like this one. But then I was like, I want to see them on my face. So then I proceeded to put all the glasses on my face, and I couldn't believe how much the shape of the glasses would change the look of your face. So now I'm like fully invested in this box of glasses, and how it changed your face and what you look like. And some of them I'd put on, and I just would start laughing, and I would just look like such a different person. Some of them I'd put on, I'd be like, hey, I look pretty good in this one. Someone would make me just look like a serial killer, like horrible. So then, of course, what naturally, I went and grabbed all my roommates. I was like, you guys, you had to try on these glasses. And so I proceeded to make all of them try on all the 4 different pairs of glasses. And so by now we're all gathered in the living room, with trying on these glasses, laughing at each other and looking at how ridiculous we look or how good we look, or like someone be like, oh, you look like an architect, or like, oh, you look like a writer, or like, oh, you look like a murderer. Like, we were just having a great time with this box of glasses that none of them, they were only meant for one person. I was just like, she picked out what was best for her, not for us, but we were now trying them on. So as we're now trying them on, there's a moment where we're all standing there wearing different glasses, and we're kind of like picking out the ones that maybe look the best, if not create a sense of character, even if they're not, the best pick. And as we're all standing there, I look around, I see everyone wearing these glasses. I thought, oh my God, this is perfect. I was like, you guys, we have to get a picture. So I grabbed one of my friends, I handed them my camera, and I was like, here, take a picture of us. So she snapped this picture. When I got this picture developed, even in the moment, something triggered in my head, and I thought, this is too good to pass up. Like, there was this feeling, this emotion, and seeing everyone wear these glasses, I felt like it was like a scene from Big Bang or from Friends, or it was like everyone seemed like such a character. And that night afterwards, I couldn't stop thinking about it, and immediately I was like, this idea popped in my head. What if a group of writers were forced to live out their own stories? That was it. That was all I had. But it was enough that I was immediately drawn to that. And I thought, wow, like as a writer, as someone who loves to write screenplays, I just thought, like, what if I was forced to actually try and live out some of this stuff? Like, how uncomfortable that would make me. And then that led to the thought of, like, well, that's very interesting, because writers tend to be more reclusive, more internal. They tend to write what they wish they could do or want, but not actually what their real life is like. And so the idea, like, suddenly this group of friends who, like, want to be writers that are reclusive and are forced to actually, like, live out the scenarios that they write sounded so fascinating to me. And immediately, as I'm thinking of this idea, the name The Right Stuff came to me, but spelled W-R-I-T-E, because I remember as I watched the movie The Right Stuff about the astronauts, and I love that movie, and the idea of just the cover of the poster of, like, all these, like, writing nerds together with their glasses, and how the whole film is like, what does it take to have, like, the right stuff in life? But you're a writer, so it was a play on words. But how the movie is all about, like, how they became astronauts, like the passage of, like, developing the space program. And I thought about, these writers are developing what it means to live life. And so I just suddenly, it was like that idea ignited in my mind, and I thought, oh my God, this is a great idea. This sort of like comedy, found family, figuring out life, forced to face life, the conflicts, like coming of age story. Felt like I want to make this film someday. I'm obsessed with the birth of an idea. what are the circumstances, where they come from. So I was just really excited to share with you how I had the idea for my film, The Right Stuff, and where it came from, and how I love that it came from literally a Warby Parker box of glasses, a 35 millimeter film camera that snapped a picture, a bunch of my roommates and one of my friends who would eventually become my wife. We were just hanging out, and what it created was this idea, and the reason it stuck with me and why I'm still passionate about this day, because embarking on a film, I had to ask myself, I'm going to be spending years probably working on this, and what is it about it that makes me want to keep coming back? And I think the reason I love it so much is, at the end of the day, it's drawing on my experience. The reason I want to make this film is it reminds me of what it was like in my 20s. When I left to go to college, there was so much of the world I didn't know about. I mean, granted, it's not like I've discovered that much. I know everything. But especially in my 20s, like, the world felt so huge, scary. I did not feel equipped to have all these skill sets of how to survive as an independent adult when I went to college. And how I got through that was my friends. I met these friends along the way, and it was being with them that, I have all these crazy memories, these stories, these funny things that happen, but it was being together, and because of them, that they helped me to grow up. They helped me to figure out together. We all helped each other. We all had certain skill sets. And when something would happen in life, a crisis, someone would be like, well, I kind of know what to do here, and I kind of know what to do with that. And, whether it was like car and mechanical stuff, or maybe it was just like working on schoolwork, or something happened to family. It's like we all had these skill sets, and we were all helping each other navigate life and growing up together. And I just love the idea of found family and of friendship. And that's really, I love romance movies. I love action adventure movies, but friendship gets me. I mean, the first time I ever cried in a movie theater was the end of Lord of the Rings, when Sam and Frodo hug. I mean, just destroyed me. So friendship has always been a huge component for me. In fact, my wife says that if I was a superhero, I would be Captain Friendship, which I would definitely agree that is true. My other best friend, Sean, always said that, like, I'm like a gummy bear that, like, when you pull the gummy bear out, is stuck to another one, and that is 100% accurate. So for me, making a feature film about friendship is like one of the greatest joys I could imagine, because it is so important to me. And especially now, I heard recently on his podcast, they asked a question of, like, what do people want out of films when they watch movies? And they talked a lot about how, like, nowadays there's not that much eye contact we get with people. And I've been noticing for a long time how much people are feeling lonely. And so for me, part of the reason I'm so excited to make this feature film is I believe in the power of friendship. I really do believe that it can change lives. And it's also one of the things that's lacking the most in our culture. And so I am so excited to create a film that's around a topic that I feel like people actually want to see and want to watch. But that being said, I also do think this is an incredibly fascinating question. I would love right now if you would write in the chat your answer to that question. Why do you watch movies? Like, what do you get out of it? Like, seriously, I'm trying to do research. When they asked that question, I was like, man, I had to ask everyone I meet, because I find that to be so fascinating, and I feel like there's got to be a general theme, and I'm just fascinated by it. So if you can, please tell me what you think. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And overall, thanks for listening to this very long story, this origin story of how The Right Stuff came about, and where the idea came from, and how just a series of events can create something so meaningful and lasting. And I'll always cherish that memory. I'm so glad I have a picture of it, but I also am cherishing the journey, because as I write the screenplay, I actually get to relive that part of my life. And it's so incredibly moving and emotional to be able to remember and recall those moments and the people who helped me grow up, who helped me become the person I am today. And the reason I am who I am is because of their kindness, their generosity. I mean, I didn't even have a car for like 7 years, and friends would drive me everywhere. Before there was Uber, I was like the OG of Uber. Like, I had the network, and I would ride my bike everywhere, and they would take me places. And, I am so deeply impacted by it. But this is my opportunity to make a feature film that sort of gives back and is a reminder that we need each other more than ever before. So thank you for taking the time to listen to this. This is just going to be the first episode as I now continue to break down the evolution of how I went from that moment where there's a box of glasses in the film camera to where I am today. So I can't wait to take you along that journey, but I wanted to start you where it all began. So hey, keep your eyes and ears open. You never know when you're going to be inspired. And until next Thursday, I'll see you all then.